I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. And let me remind you also that moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue.
He was the single most charismatic Republican in my lifetime, more so than Ronald Reagan. I thought he was a more authentic conservative than Ronald Reagan, incidentally. And yet he lost. The election was stolen from him by the mob, incidentally, if you study, and it was in Ohio, I believe. They wrestled it away, and then, of course, the rest is history. Then it was stolen from Nixon and given to JFK, again with rigged votes. But we're living in a nation that is part law, part outlaw, part sane, part insane, part good, part bad. A nation that is like all other nations in some ways and like no other nations, like no other nation in others. So today is probably the beginning of the real election. Even the average moron who pays no attention to politics will somehow yawn tomorrow on Super Tuesday when they see that Mitt Romney swept most of the states that are holding their primaries today. And we're going to talk about it. Vermont, Virginia, Ohio, Alaska, Georgia, Massachusetts, Oklahoma, Idaho, Tennessee, and North Dakota. Having said all of that, unless Romney becomes more extreme in his rhetoric, he's not going to win. That's my opinion. Yet he said he won't do so. He has to understand that McCain also played Mr. Nice Guy. Mr. McCain refused to say things about Obama that the people knew to be true. You remember them? Do you remember? Do you remember the last week before the last debate between McCain and Obama? Do you remember when a woman, an older woman in the crowd, got up and said something to McCain such, it was a town hall meeting. Remember the day of the town hall meeting? Before they were destroyed by the Republican and Democrat parties, because the last thing they want is the people to be heard from. A woman stood up at a town hall meeting and said to McCain, but what about the she said, but Senator, she said, Obama is a Muslim. And he cut her off. And McCain said, oh, we're not going to say anything bad about Mr. Obama. He's a good man, just like me. Now, that was the end of McCain's campaign. I tried to help him. I gave him a line he could have defeated him with, which was trickled up poverty. Remember, I said if you use this one line, smile like Reagan, look at him and say, now, Senator, you know that your policies are going to bring about trickle-up poverty. That would have been the end of the campaign. Obama would have lost. That one line could have done it. Sometimes a campaign could be won or lost by one line. But, again, he was advised, probably, I'm going to look into this. My gut tells me that Romney is being misadvised by the same clowns who misadvised McCain. And if that's true, I'm going to tell Donald Trump to get rid of them. Did you hear what I just said? See, Donald has a lot of sway in this election, probably on both sides of the aisle. Donald's, let's say he's up there, and he didn't get there by being a dummy, okay? Donald is gonna hear what I say. If he has the same advisors that McCain has, if I see any of them running Romney's campaign, and I'm going to find it out, I'm going to tell Donald to get rid of them, to tell Romney to dump them, because they are the Brutuses of Romney's campaign. A2 Brutus. That's what Mitt Romney has to understand. A2 Brutus. They're going to put a knife in his back, as they've been doing all along the way. They're letting him go on jerk shows that have no draw whatsoever. People don't even listen to them. And they wonder why the guy's floundering in the polls with the Republican voters themselves. Why is he appealing to liberal voters right now when Democrats are not even supposed to vote in the primaries? What's he so worried about what the Democrats think right now? Of course he doesn't want to make a stupid statement like calling someone a slut or a prostitute. I understand that. He doesn't have to go that far and make an idiot of himself or make that kind of mistake. And believe me, that can cost him quite dearly to make one slip of the tongue. It's the end of a campaign. So there's a way to be very strong, very forceful, and very extremist by simply stating the truth. You don't even have to be an extremist to talk about the corruption in this administration. Let me ask you, you really have to think you have to be an extremist to talk about Solyndra? To talk about the $1.2 billion that went missing on the MF Global? The farmers can't even buy seeds? To talk about the decimation of the military? Do you have to be an extremist to talk about the fact that Obama put 22 Navy SEALs on a single helicopter and more died in one helicopter crash than in the entire history of the Navy SEAL unit? Why doesn't he talk about those things? Would that make him an extremist? I think even military Democrats would hear him if he said that. But I'm not his advisor, am I? No, I'm an outrageous talk show host. I'm just an outrageous talk show host. 27 books later, 17 years in the media. I've survived it all. And I speak the truth about the gross corruption, incompetence, and arrogance on both sides of the aisle, by the way, which is why Romney's probably afraid to come on the show. But he really has nothing to fear because I can't ask him anything he has not been asked before, incidentally. When I come back at the turn of the hour, we're going to get some results for you because they're in. Total delegate count so far, developing. We're going to be looking at all the sites, Fox, Drudge, CNN. I think CNN's already reporting that Romney lost before it's happened, trying to throw it off. But it looks like, we got to get Santorum, Paul, and Gingrich on the sidelines. They should be cabinet secretaries. Ron Paul could be cabinet secretary. Rick Santorum could be given a new cabinet position in charge of condoms. Rick Santorum could be the Department of Prophylactics. And that could be Rick Santorum's new job for Romney. Department of Prophylaxis.